You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chillson, and this is my review for The Odyssey. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. The Odyssey is a 2026 action fantasy film from director Christopher Nolan, based on Homer's epic Odyssey. After 10 years of war, King Odysseus sets sail for Ithaca, eager to be reunited with his beloved. But his journey home proves to be much more treacherous than the battlefield, as he must face vengeful gods and vicious monsters to find his way home. The Odyssey features an insanely stacked cast, including Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Anne Hathaway, Charlize Theron, Mia Goth, Robert Pattinson, John Bernthal, John Leguizamo, Elliot Page, Lupita Nyong'o, Corey Hawkins, and Travis Scott. So as someone who absolutely adores the fantasy genre, and I happen to love old historical fantasies. These sandals, these swords and sandals, epic historic dramas are right up my alley, and I could not wait to see what Christopher Nolan would do with a film like this. Because while he's done so much sci-fi, ah, I haven't seen Nolan fully delve into a fantasy project like this, and certainly not a period historical fantasy, so I couldn't wait to see how he tackled it. Then the cast kept coming out. Some of my favorite actors, Tom Holland, I'm looking at you, were all put into the film, and my excitement kept growing and growing and growing. And that's why I'm so thankful to say I loved The Odyssey. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, let's start with the man himself, Christopher Nolan, because the craftsmanship on display here is fantastic, and that all begins with the director. It's shot on film, shot on IMAX 70mm film, and that's how I was able to see this film in theaters. And it utilizes the format to perfection. You can tell this is shot on actual film, and it suits this swords and sandals historic epic filmmaking so well. The cinematography is absolutely stunning here. The sets are gorgeous and elaborate. The costume designs were getting a lot of flack heading into the movie, but I thought they came out great. Agamemnon's armor and helm were nuts in the best way possible. But Anne Hathaway's wardrobe was fab. Anne Hathaway looked fabulous the entire film. No, the costuming was wonderful. The scope and scale of this film are immense and big for that big IMAX screen treatment. It looks immaculate. The original score from Ludwig Göransson is also fantastic and adds so much kinetic energy throughout. As for the performances, I think most all of them are fantastic. Tom Holland turns in some of his best work yet. I thought he was fantastic here. And Hathaway steals pretty much every single scene she is in. She gets this amazing monologue to just chew down on. Oh, and it's one of the best scenes of the whole movie. Robert Pattinson being unhinged and crazy. Yeah, you knew he'd kill it, and he does. Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Charlize Theron, they all have much smaller roles here in the film, but they're fabulous in these smaller roles and add so much context and add so many layers to each scene that they're involved with. Elliot Page is also great here, and there was so much hoopla about Elliot being Achilles in this film. He's not. Y'all were raging and woke this, woke that. Oh my god, masculinity, blah, 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 blah. You look stupid. Should have waited till the film came out to do all that. But what I really love here is that Christopher Nolan adapts the Odyssey beautifully by telling the story. I would say it's a very faithful telling of this novel. We get the major events in. We have to, skim over a few or skip and bounce a little bit, but we tell the story that's there while weaving in past, such as the Trojan War. And the Trojan War actually is a much bigger part of this film than I imagined it would be, which concerned me. But I love the way it's woven into the thematic richness of the film. You have to have that much of the Trojan War here to fully get the emotional scope of what we're dealing with. And it's, oh, beautifully handled. By and large, this film is so much more emotional, so much more heartfelt and lived in than most all of Christopher Nolan's work. Obviously, he's very infamous, if you will, for being a cold director that doesn't really care about character as much as he does scope and epicness and technical achievement. We don't have those big emotional moments as often, particularly in his more recent work. But this is oozing with not only character journeys that are built into the Odyssey itself, but he brings a new spin on telling their story and bringing that emotional richness to the tale in these characters. Plus, we get like small moments throughout the film that come back around in the third act in such beautiful fashion that I adored. It just was really nice filmmaking. Of course, Nolan did not tell this linear. We have lots of flashbacks and flash forwards, but it's definitely some of the most linear storytelling Nolan has delivered. The VFX also flawless, as you would anticipate. The character and creature designs here are fantastic, and I really appreciate he did not shy away from the fantastical elements of telling this story, like Troy did back in the day, where they just omitted the gods altogether and tried to make this like it was an actual historic event. Christopher Nolan leans into the gods, into prophecy, into mythology. And I had a blast with all of those elements. So then, what doesn't work so well when it comes to the Odyssey? Well, I have to say, Matt Damon is probably the most flat performance in the film. And he's the central character of the film, along with Tom Holland. I would say they're almost co-leads, but Matt Damon is certainly the lead of this film. It's definitely the most kind of performance out there. It was lacking to give the full scope that everything else here was dealing with. Also, some of these side characters I would have loved more time with, obviously, but, we're dealing within the confines of the Odyssey itself. And we're also dealing with the fact that the film is nearly 3 hours long already. So what else are we going to add in here? You have to sparse down so much from such a hefty story, and you still come out feeling like that was a lot of movie. And I need to really sit and process what it is I just watched. But there are moments, particularly in the middle section, where you kind of feel the drag happening. You're like, okay, because so much of it is kind of depressing. A lot of depressing stuff in the Odyssey, y'all. It's not this big old swashbuckling hero's tale. Lots of depression here. But that lends itself to really kind of slowing the story down in a nearly 3 hour film. Not Nolan's fault, not even really the film's fault. I think it handles it as well as it could. But that's what you get when you adapt a story such as this. But overall, I don't really have negatives when it comes to the Odyssey. This is the type of film that is right up my alley, and I think Nolan adapted it beautifully. Actually, this exceeded my expectations because he gives so much richness to the text that I wasn't anticipating from Christopher Nolan giving us this work. This is fantasy epic storytelling done right. And I'm so thankful that our screening was in IMAX 70mm. I got to experience it just the way Christopher Nolan shot it and intended it to be seen on the big screen. If you have that available near you, highly recommend. It certainly adds to the viewing experience of this type of story. But if you don't have that near you, please run out and see Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey on the biggest screen that is by you, because this is the type of film you want to see in a packed house on a giant immersive screen. So that was my review for The Odyssey. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, Click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see the Odyssey? And what is your favorite old sword and sandal epic film? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up over on Twitter, Instagram, or Blue Sky. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.